So can you explain to us what GHG emissions are, and if there are there are certifications for calculating them or regulating them?
Yeah. Actually, GHG is a greenhouse gas emissions, basically. Some of the gases like fossil fuels, emissions, or maybe from the vehicle, transportation emissions, and other than that, some of the fossil fuels, we can able to say that. But there is no certifications for that, and we can able to go for the reporting system, and then it can be a
How are sustainability goals connected to ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance?
Yeah, actually, as I told, like ISO 26001 talking about a social governance, which is about the ESG, enviro-social governance. When you are talking about sustainability, climate change, it's all about an environment. For example, it is all about a planet, it's all about people. Organizations are here to make profit.
Right.
So the aim behind it,
Are there any benchmarks for organizations, like benchmarking tools or programs that help to grow in sustainability?
Yeah. When you are talking about ISO 14064 scope 1 emission, and 14064 scope 2 emission, and 14064 scope 3 emissions. In that, scope 1 is coming under the direct emissions, where the organization owning about their control of whatever they are emitting and how they can able to control about it. That's all comes under scope 1 emission. And scope 2 is all about
Welcome to the Green Generation, where we break down sustainability into real talk for real people. In today's episode, we're diving into everything from ISO standards, the ESG, to carbon trading and the UAE's climate laws. And guess what? We've got a special guest joining us today. We have Mr. Suresh Kumar, who is a QHSE specialist, the CEO of ITAC, and a sustainability advocate. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
So he's here to simplify and the science between sustainability and everything that comes with it, and spill all the facts. So I'm diving right in, and firstly I want to ask you is, how can sustainability training actually make a difference?
Well, it's a good question. Training always create an awareness to the society, to an individual. Training is an one word, but that honestly, create information or what we need to do everything. So any development, if it needs to be developed, it has to be go through the trainings only to the people.
Right.
So that's the reason the training always.
Yeah, and I think training definitely helps with creating education, awareness, consciousness, and I think that's a large part of why people don't or might not understand sustainability standards, right? Because there's lack of awareness, there's lack of education. So knowing is the first step of wanting to move towards sustainability. So I think it's great that you're doing that. Another question I want to ask you is, which ISO standards support the UN Sustainable Development Goals?
If you are talking about ISO standards, there are multiple. Starting from ISO 9001, always we say father of ISO standards.
Right.
So even a quality management system, it's called the 9001, and occupational health and safety is about a 45001, and then environmental standard starts on 14,000 series, so it is 14,001. And then if you are talking about a social responsibility, that is ISO 26000. Then there is a sustainable procurement. That standard is also available.
Right.
And there are multiple standards, and of course in recently article has been released from ISO. All the standards should cover about the climate change.
Good.
So that's what they are moving into that. When you are talking about a particular ISO standards, 14,000 series is clearly talking about ISO sustainability requirements. Starting from 14,001 is about an environmental standard, as I said, and then 14064 part 1, part 2 are really talking about a sustainability scope emissions.
Right. So you see, he is super well versed and knows it like the back of his hand. He's pulling out the numbers and telling you exactly what they all are. But the most important aspect to note here is that all of these standards want to focus on, climate change, want to focus on sustainability, and that's exactly what we want to create through this podcast, right? So to understand better, what are the different levels of sustainability training that are available out there?
If you are talking about that, starts from the basic awareness level to PhD
Right.
levels are available.
Yeah.
But mostly in general, when it comes to the organizational level, ISO standards are talking more on this.
Okay.
So 14001 like an environmental standard, and then 14064 part 1, part 3, part 1 to part 3. Those are all the standards are exactly talking about a greenhouse gas emissions, which is directly impacting the climate change.
Okay, so there are sustainability standards that's there for everyone, whether you're a beginner, whether you want to create awareness, whether you want to know the basics. Like you said, it goes from, the very start until a PhD level. So you can keep evolving. There's continuous development that you can keep understanding about sustainability. And I think that's such a beautiful way, because it's not so complex even for someone who knows nothing to start off with, right? So that's great. Yes.
I would like to add, Dr. Seetharaman School is going to start the sustainability awareness program as a free of cost.
Yes.
As a CSR program we are going to start.
Yes.
I wish to tell that
as part of SSSD, which is Seetharaman School of Sustainability Development, we are fully committed towards building the awareness and education for sustainability. So it's great that we have you, talking about it today. I think there's nothing better than being able to talk about it, trying to get people to understand where to start, and hopefully continue following the journey towards sustainability. So can you explain to us what GHG emissions are, and if there are there are certifications for calculating them or regulating them?
Yeah. Actually, GHG is a greenhouse gas emissions, basically. Some of the gases like fossil fuels, emissions, or maybe from the vehicle, transportation emissions, and other than that, some of the fossil fuels, we can able to say that. But there is no certifications for that, and we can able to go for the reporting system, and then it can be verified and validated through the GHG protocol schemes.
Okay, and like you said, the greenhouse gas effects is something that, like you said, even comes from cars and vehicles, and transportation is something as we use every single day in our lives, right? So it's so important to understand how we are also contributing to maybe some detrimental effects to sustainability being affected. So I think it's very important.
Yes.
What are some global sustainability programs or protocols that are currently already in place?
This is really an important topic to discuss. Actually, worldwide, the familiarized framework called from GHG protocol. They are working with the World Resource Institute and World Business Council of Sustainability Development.
Right.
And they are really working on to this with the multiple levels, and then they have the validation and verification program. So if an organization wants to reporting that GHG emissions, and if they want to verify and validate, they can able to do through GHG protocol schemes.
Okay.
And then additionally, there are multiple schemes are available, like this is one of the known worldwide, and there is American carbon registry program. There are golden standards also available. So yeah.
Okay, and now I think this is very important, is what is UAE's climate law number 11, and why is it important?
When it comes to law, it's mandate.
Yeah.
So that is all. That is, of course, it is important.
Right.
In order to support the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals, of course, the climate change, protection. UAE, we have to appreciate the leaders. They have created a law inside the country. All the organizations, even private or government, they were supposed to look after the GHG emissions and take out the action plan to mitigate that. So that's what all about climate change law number 11, and they have a cut-off date also already, 30th May of 2025 for the implementation.
Okay.
But anyway, I understand it's a long way to go, but all organizations should be initiated at this time.
Okay, and since you've simplified so many of these questions in terms of how you've answered them, I think one very important topic, which I think is a very complex subject, is carbon trading. So can you sort of simplify it for us in the best way possible and explain to us how does it work?
Carbon trading is about there is a higher level of achievement, then they may have a carbon registry scheme. Out of all these, I told about the GHG protocol and American carbon registry and golden standard. So when it comes to the ISO 1406768, so they have they can claim for the carbon neutrality in their organization, and then they can have the carbon registration program. So from that, the trading also will work for that. Yeah.
Okay. And how are sustainability goals connected to ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance?
Yeah. Actually, as I told, like ISO 26001 talking about a social governance, which is about the ESG, enviro-social governance. When you are talking about sustainability, climate change, it's all about an environment.
Right.
The ESG also enviro-social guidance. For example, it is all about the planet. It's all about people. Organizations are here to make profit.
Right.
So the aim behind it, when we are making a profit, it should not affect the people and planet. So that is the aim behind it. So that's what they are connecting the. Actually, it is it's supporting each other, and there is no difference between each other. That's what a sustainability practitioner I'm looking into that. Like an environment, social governance, which comes into planet, people, and profit.
Right.
That's all about it. Yeah.
Okay. And are there any government mandated sustainability training programs?
Unfortunately, I have to say no, because it is about the climate change law number 11, the implementation in practice, then automatically the training becomes mandatory.
Right.
Because if you are talking about any organization, without the training, without the knowledge, the people cannot be able to do that. Even if they are bringing any competent sustainability officers, they might have a good qualifications on the sustainability side. So it has not been directly mandated, like first aid training is becoming a mandatory for all the countries now. So sustainability is not becoming that much mandatory, but indirectly, yes, of course, because as we discussed in the first question, like the training only will create an awareness to the people who can able to implement, or who can able to deliver those initiatives in their organizations. I am a sustainability specialist, for example. So I have completed about 14064 part 1, part 2, part 3. Then only I can be a lead verification and will validation participation. I can able to do that. So a straightforward answer to your question, it is not mandated, but of course indirectly it has to be go through.
No, and we have you who's definitely walking the talk, right? Like you said, in order to be the sustainability specialist, you've gone through and studied and certified with what you need to create that awareness to teach other people. So I mean, you've beautifully simplified so many of the questions that sound scientific in terms of how to create the awareness and the educational training programs. But what I want to ask you is, are there any benchmarks for organizations, like benchmarking tools or programs that help to grow in sustainability?
Yeah. As you said many times, very straightforward I answer it. Let me a bit brief about this question. When you are talking about ISO 14064 scope 1 emission and 14064 scope 2 emission and 14064 scope 3 emissions, in that scope 1 is coming under the direct emissions, where the organization owning about their control of whatever they are emitting and how they can able to control about it. That's all comes under scope 1 emission. And scope 2 is all about their electricity usage, or the steams, heat or cooling systems, whatever they are using, that is coming under scope 2 emissions. And scope 3 is all about which is not under their control, we have to say, because scope 3 is about indirect emissions, we used to say, like their employee commuting, because for example Emirates Airlines, they do have the direct emissions through the airplanes are flying on it, but their employees, maybe 10,000 employees are traveling from home to work on anything, so that's all will come under scope 3. Same like they may purchase about the raw materials, or they may able to sold the products, then the user may use about it, for example. So those things and all comes under scope 3. So when you are talking about like these are all the different categories, that's all have to be monitored separately and to reduce the duplications, to manage it.
I mean, it's wonderful how, like you explained so easily, scope 1, scope 2 and scope 3, and what we don't realize is all of these scopes, as much as we think that these are for only organizations, right? These are all part of humans' day-to-day activities that contribute to these emissions that we don't realize, and then creating that awareness. So this is not just for organizations. I think sustainability training is so important for every individual, and as we've constantly and continuously will continue to create that awareness through these podcasts, are that when it comes to sustainability, when it comes to global warming and climate change, unfortunately we don't see it yet, but as we're reporting stats and as we're coming to understand, and as I'm coming to understand through doing these podcasts also, is that, I'll say it again, I've said it before, let someday be today, let today be now, because it's so important to start today. Because I've also mentioned this before, is that we're not doing it just for future generations. We selfishly need to do it for the world we live in today, because the world we live in today, if we can stop and reflect and think about even 10 years ago or 5 years ago, or for me, what the weather in terms of winters looked like, even in Dubai, even when I used to live in Qatar, it's changed so drastically, and I don't think I've paid attention to these small changes. But the winter is not the winter. Like back in 2006, I remember during Asian Games in Qatar, I used to wear like a t-shirt and a jacket and boots, and now during the World Cup when I went in 2022, I barely had to wear one jacket. So those changes are something that now, as I'm doing the podcast and I'm getting more aware of paying attention to those changes, I already realized that the last years of me growing up, things have changed, which means there's no time for tomorrow. It's not for my children or their children or the next generation that we need to make change. We need to make change now, because we are seeing it happen every single day. And thank you so much for being a part of these sustainability programs that allow for people to educate, understand, create awareness. Thank you so much for having us today.
I would like to add something more as well.
Yes,
as you
course.
Started like an individual and organization. There is not only an individual or an organization. Even we can able the individuals, when they are coming as a group,
community,
as a public, and they have to cooperate each other.
Yes.
So that is also a category we can able to say that. So as a specialist, I would like to always look after from the individuals, then the public, then the government, even a society, then the global society. That's what we go ahead accordingly. For example, that's what even GHC protocols, they are very clearly talking about the programs, how it has to be taken through. So I always used to tell why we need to look after the climate change impact or sustainability implementation protocols. We are really living in a very worst period of time, I used to say, because the war is becoming a routine operations. We used to say that. I'm sorry, but that's the reality. And then additionally, in the New Year's evening, globally, how much emissions we do, with the crackers playing or all those things. So we all are talking about the sustainability and climate change, but still an individual perspective, like even on a waste management or the public transportation, however we are using about it, or cycling or walking. So these are all the ways we also as an individual also can able to support. Same like public, when we are gathering in an area, always we thought the food should not get any, it should not get less. But whatever the waste, we are not bothering about it. So these are all the smaller initiatives when we are doing about it. That's all going to be really helpful to us to not do anything else, like in general as a climate. So we all really importantly we have to look after. At the same time, the government also has to initiate the policies to push to the organization level, and it has to be mandated, as you asked the question earlier. And according to the global society, United Nations, they are supporting like many things like sustainability development goals, and that has to be pulled out to the country level, and country to organization, and organization to public, and public to individuals. So vice versa, if we are supporting each other, I'm sure it is going to help, and we can able to not to help, we can able to we will not damage the planet, which is going to give everything to us. That's what I would like to add.
Okay, great.
So we all are responsible for the remaining days of our life, and then for our future generations. Thank you very much for organizing such a wonderful podcast.
No, thank you so much for being here today and sort of simplifying all of the overwhelming facts and scientific explanations to everything that we had to understand about sustainability. That's a wrap for today from us. But if this episode helped you connect the dots, don't forget to follow, share, and subscribe to the Green Generation podcast. It will really help us grow the green community, which is so important, as we've just spoken about today. I will catch you next time at the Green Generation podcast on Thursday.